Before diving into what may become one of the most consequential political developments in South Africa's recent history, it is essential to set the stage and understand the gravity of the unfolding events. This is not merely a breaking news item or another headline designed to capture fleeting attention. What is happening has the potential to fundamentally reshape the balance of power in the nation and alter how citizens view the accountability of their leaders. The developments began with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's recent televised revelations, which themselves sent shockwaves across the country. These statements laid bare a series of allegations and hinted at a crackdown on entrenched corruption within the political hierarchy. Just as the dust was settling from those revelations, yet another dramatic event intensified the political tremors shaking the nation. Early this morning, reports emerged that a high-ranking member of the African National Congress, ANC, in Gauteng had been taken into custody following a direct arrest warrant issued by Mkhwanazi. The charges are severe, encompassing corruption, obstruction of justice, and tampering with evidence, signaling that the scope of the investigation reaches far beyond ordinary malfeasance. This is not a routine legal action, it represents a deliberate, coordinated effort to confront a network of wrongdoing that, until now, many suspected but few had dared confront openly. The timing, swiftness, and precision of this arrest suggest an operation meticulously planned to avoid leaks, prevent political interference, and send an unmistakable message: no one is beyond scrutiny. According to confidential sources close to the operation, the moment the warrant was signed, a specialized tactical team was deployed immediately to Gauteng. There was no advance notice, no media leaks, and no opportunity for the target to evade justice. The arrest unfolded swiftly, silently, and effectively, catching the implicated ANC member entirely off guard. Observers have emphasized that this was not a symbolic gesture designed for political theater, nor a display of arbitrary power. Rather, it was a clear communication to the nation that accountability would no longer be negotiable. No individual, regardless of rank, influence, or historical political protection, could expect immunity from investigation. The immediate impact of the arrest reverberated across the country. News of the operation spread rapidly, triggering a dual response: panic in certain political circles and cautious celebration among citizens long frustrated by perceived impunity. For ordinary South Africans, many of whom have endured the consequences of systemic corruption, broken services, failing infrastructure, and the erosion of public trust, the arrest symbolized hope. It was proof that the machinery of justice could, at least in some measure, function without bias. Meanwhile, the reaction within the political establishment was far more chaotic. Insiders reported emergency meetings, urgent phone calls, and a palpable sense of alarm as the implications of the arrest began to sink in. Factions within the ANC, once confident in their ability to maneuver around investigations, now faced the very real possibility that scrutiny would extend to them. Old alliances, forged over years of political convenience and shared interests, began to fray. Members who had previously acted with impunity were suddenly confronted with the reality that the protections they had relied upon could no longer shield them. Analysts have noted that this arrest is likely only the beginning of a broader campaign to root out corruption within the ruling party. The zero-tolerance stance displayed by Mkhwanazi signals a departure from the past, where allegations of wrongdoing were often buried or delayed indefinitely. It is now clear that investigations will proceed unhindered, and that political titles will not serve as a barrier to justice. What makes this moment particularly significant is the message it sends about the nature of political accountability in South Africa. For decades, allegations of corruption and mismanagement have swirled around powerful figures in the Gauteng region and beyond, yet few tangible consequences have followed. The public's perception has been one of resignation, a belief that the system protects those with influence while leaving ordinary citizens to contend with its failures. Mkhwanazi's actions challenge this narrative. By directly authorizing an arrest of a prominent figure, he has demonstrated that the state's legal and investigative institutions can act decisively, even against those who previously seemed untouchable. The arrest is therefore not merely about one individual being taken into custody, it represents a broader symbolic rupture with the era of immunity and political shielding. It communicates to both citizens and politicians that wrongdoing will be addressed, that justice is not selective, and that accountability cannot be evaded simply because of one's position. Public reaction has been swift and overwhelmingly engaged. Social media platforms are ablaze with commentary, as ordinary citizens, community leaders, and political commentators weigh in on the implications of the arrest. There is a sense of cautious optimism among those who have long felt marginalized by corruption, and a belief that meaningful change may finally be on the horizon. The arrest has ignited conversations about systemic reform and has prompted citizens to demand that the cleanup efforts continue with the same urgency and decisiveness. People are watching closely, evaluating the commitment of the authorities to pursuing justice without fear or favor, and the prevailing sentiment is that the momentum generated by this first arrest cannot be ignored. Inside the ANC, however, the arrest has triggered a profound reassessment of internal dynamics. Party members are reportedly engaged in heated discussions about potential vulnerabilities, and factions that once appeared cohesive are now questioning loyalties and strategies. Emergency meetings have become common, as leaders seek to gauge the implications for their personal positions and for the party's overall stability. The arrest has caused a ripple effect, the perceived invulnerability of certain figures has been shattered, alliances have begun to shift, and the internal calculus of political maneuvering is being reevaluated in real time. What was once considered untouchable is now exposed to scrutiny, and the fear of additional warrants and investigations looms large. The operational approach behind the arrest has been described as meticulous and highly strategic. Confidential sources note that the tactical team acted with surgical precision, minimizing risks and ensuring that the target had no opportunity to resist or evade capture. The lack of leaks indicates careful planning and tight operational security, reflecting an unprecedented level of coordination between investigative bodies and the enforcement team. Analysts believe that such precision is not incidental, it is part of a deliberate effort to convey seriousness, demonstrate capability, and establish a precedent for future actions. The underlying message is clear: accountability is now non-negotiable, and the enforcement of justice will be unflinching. The broader implications for South Africa's political landscape are immense. If this arrest is indeed the first in a series, it suggests that multiple investigations have reached advanced stages and that the list of individuals potentially facing legal action could be extensive. The possibility of additional arrests looms, which could precipitate one of the largest political purges in modern South African history. For the public, this is both a moment of hope and heightened anticipation. There is a growing expectation that the state's legal machinery will continue to operate without bias, and that those who have long exploited positions of power for personal gain will finally be held accountable. For the ordinary citizen, the arrest represents more than political theater, it symbolizes a shift toward tangible justice. Broken infrastructure, underfunded schools, and failing hospitals have long exemplified the cost of systemic corruption, and many South Africans see this as an opportunity to address those failures. The arrest is a visible sign that leaders may be willing to confront wrongdoing and implement meaningful reforms. It has inspired public discourse, civic engagement, and renewed faith in the principle that no one is above the law. Citizens are watching closely, ready to measure the authorities' commitment to ongoing accountability. At the same time, the arrest has prompted speculation and concern about internal resistance. Questions remain about whether the ANC will support the legal process, attempt to intervene on behalf of the arrested member, or seek to protect other implicated individuals. Observers are closely monitoring political maneuvers, statements, and emerging leaks to assess whether resistance or obstruction might arise. The depth and reach of the corruption network remain uncertain, and this uncertainty has amplified public interest and scrutiny. Every move, every statement, and every additional arrest or investigation will be closely analyzed for indications of systemic change or potential backlash. What is increasingly clear is that the momentum generated by this arrest is unlikely to be reversed. The legal processes initiated, combined with public scrutiny and the zero-tolerance stance of Motsi, suggest that investigations will continue to unfold regardless of political pressure. The transparency of the operation, coupled with the public's growing engagement, has created an environment in which concealment or delay will be difficult to sustain. Each new revelation strengthens the perception that systemic change may be possible, and the stakes for political figures are higher than ever. The implications of this shift extend beyond individual arrests. They signal a potential reconfiguration of political norms, accountability standards, and governance expectations in South Africa. As the story develops, it is evident that the arrest has reshaped the political narrative in multiple ways. For one, it has disrupted the perception of invulnerability that many political actors relied upon. By demonstrating that legal authority can act decisively, it has sent a message that positions of power no longer guarantee immunity. This realization is transforming internal party dynamics, as members reassess alliances, consider the risks of past actions, and prepare for potential investigations. Simultaneously, the public is becoming more informed, more vigilant, and more active in demanding accountability. The intersection of legal action and civic engagement has created a dynamic in which the unfolding political drama is both consequential and consequentially visible to the entire nation. Moreover, the arrest raises profound questions about the long-term trajectory of governance in South Africa. Will these actions result in a genuine cleansing of corruption, or will they be symbolic gestures without lasting structural impact? Will future investigations maintain the same rigor and independence, or will political considerations continue to interfere? The answers remain uncertain, but the current developments suggest that at least in this moment, the forces of accountability have gained the upper hand. The implications for public trust, political legitimacy, and institutional integrity are significant. For ordinary citizens, the unfolding events offer hope that the cycle of impunity can be broken, and that governance can reflect the principles of transparency and justice that have long been promised but rarely delivered. In conclusion, the arrest of the high-ranking ANC member in Gauteng represents a historic moment in South African politics. It is the culmination of meticulous planning, bold leadership, and an unwavering commitment to accountability. The immediate impact is both practical and symbolic. It demonstrates that the state can act decisively, it disrupts entrenched political networks, and it signals to citizens that justice is attainable. At the same time, it raises urgent questions about the future of governance, the depth of corruption, and the potential for further political upheaval. The story is far from over. If anything, this is merely the beginning of a larger campaign that may reshape the nation's political landscape for years to come. As events continue to unfold, citizens and analysts alike will be watching closely, eager to understand the full scope of the investigation, the repercussions for those implicated, and the broader implications for South Africa's democratic institutions. The arrest is a signal, a warning, and a promise all at once. It is a message to the powerful, a source of hope for the public, and a defining moment in the ongoing struggle for justice and accountability in one of Africa's most influential nations.